Hello guys, my name is Bulat and I'm a professional web developer with experience of over 3 years in developing professional apps for different clients. And I specialize in no-code development, and for building web applications I use a platform called Bubble. And in this video I will show you how to build a very simple app. It will be a to-do app, and this course is for complete beginners in web development, and I will show you the basics of web development. I will show you around Bubble, and we will build this very basic to-do app so you can see if you like this or not. And basically you can proceed then with other videos. You can do something more advanced and just get to know the platform. Okay, I hope you will enjoy it. So let's start. So here is Bubble. You can find it at Bubble if you go by the link bubble.io, and this is the most powerful no-code platform at the moment. So it basically allows you to build very complex web applications, and next year you'll be able to make even native mobile applications in it. So it's very promising, and it's my favorite no-code platform. And basically it can replace traditional development where you would have to build everything from scratch. You will have to code everything. You will have to take care of backend, front end, your database, your servers, and everything. Like, it's a lot of things that you need to take care of. Whereas if you use Bubble, it all comes just out of the box in one place, and you just need to learn Bubble, and Bubble takes care of very many things like hosting, servers, backend, front end, design, everything. And if what I'm saying now is something that you don't quite, that you're not very familiar, that don't worry, we will explain it in more details later in this video. So let me show you around Bubble. Okay, so I'm on the Bubble website, and also before we begin, let me show you what kind of app we're going to build this time in this short video. So we have this app design for a to-do app. So we will build this app. It will be a little bit even more simple than this. So we will have projects, and we will have like tasks in this project. So, and we can click on the task, and it will be done. If you click it, if you check the tick, you can add more tasks, new tasks, and basically that's it. So just to show you, just to give you an idea of how to build apps, how it looks overall, and so on. So first of all, we need to register, sign up with Bubble. So you click this button, get started, and I have already signed up, so I just click login, and after that the rest will be similar. So I will just use my saved password and I will log in, and you can just basically repeat after me. And then I have already several created apps, and for this video I will create a new app. I click this button. I will not use any templates. I will just name it as a new to-do app. It doesn't really matter how you name it. And here I click start with basic features. So I will not I will skip the trial, because it suggests that you activate a free trial, because Bubble has several plans, and the first plan is free, so you can just learn how to build apps on Bubble and test something, build for client, and only then you can switch to a paid plan. The first paid plan costs you around $32 US dollars a month, and if you are on a paid plan, you will be able to use it for commercial purposes. You will be able to connect to your own custom domain and many other things. Whereas with a free plan, you will be able to just build an app for your educational purposes, or maybe to show something to a client. So it will have some limitations basically. So here it suggests that we like we go through an assistant, through some steps. We won't do it in this case, but later on, if you'd like, you can do that after this. So that you can familiarize yourself with this platform. So for now, I just skip it. Okay, and now I'm in this building platform, which has several tabs, and they are all on the left side, which consists of design, workflows, data, styles, plugins, settings, and logs. And I will just explain to you very short what you can do in each tab. So in the design tab, as you would have probably understood, you design your app. You place your buttons, you place your inputs, like different elements, and then you just place it in any way you like. You can place it like this, or you can use some arrangements, like some layouts, because now it's fixed. You can arrange a different layout, like a column, row, and etc. etc. So this is the design, and it has many elements that you can place, and also you can install new elements, if you install them as plugins, because Bubble has a huge marketplace, and some of them are free, of plugins created both by Bubble and also by other, like, third parties, other companies, other developers, and so on. So the next tab we'll go through is workflow. Workflow is basically where you create the logic of your app. For example, like what happens when you click this button. Here in the design tab, as you have seen, there is this like small window where I can adjust different settings of different elements, like the text for a caption on this button, and I could start a workflow that will happen on the event of click on this button. So I click this, and it creates an event here. It says when button start is clicked, and then I can add several actions that would happen when someone clicks this button. So, like, for example, I can create a new object in the database, like this, for example. At the moment, I don't have any database database types, but we'll do that later. We can do other things, like we can send an email, we can do something with payments, we can sign the user up, we can log them in, we can log them out, analytics, element actions, like show something, hide something, and so on. It will have, when you have more elements in your app, this pop-up will have more options that you can use, especially when you install some plugins. So for now, I will delete this event. So I hope you got an idea of what can be done in the workflow tab. So the next one is data tab. Data tab is where you can work with your database and your database structure, like everything that has to do with data. So the first sub-tab in this tab is data types. Data types is a sub-tab where you can organize the structure of your database, how it's structured. So, for example, you can create new data types, and I would data types and database in general. It looks like basically like a table, where columns of the table will be fields of some data type, and rows in a table will be like different objects, separate objects in the data type, and different like sheets in a spreadsheet, for example, will be different data types. I hope I haven't confused you with all of the new terms, but let me demonstrate to you with Google Sheets, for example. So I will create a blank Google Sheet. I'll call it database structure, and I will, for example, let's work with this design, right? We want to build this sort of app, And obviously, as you can see, we will have tasks here. On the right hand side, you see like list of tasks. They are grouped by, like, they are like in different groups. This section, another section. We will, for the simplicity, we will have just one section for this particular app, but we will have projects. So each project will have its own separate tasks, right? So when you switch to a different project, you will have their own tasks. So each project will have separate tasks, and then you will be able to add a new task, and then probably you'll be able to change a task's name, and you will be able to click here and so on. So first of all, like for the first data type that we will have is basically a task, right? So here in the data types tab, sub-tab, we can create a new data type. We will call it task. And then we have Bubble automatically by default creates a user data type, because the user is like the basic data type, because without a user an app cannot function. So we must have a user data type, and you can't basically delete it, whereas you can delete other data types that you have created yourself. So a user by default has email, modified date, created date, and Slack. We won't go into detail like into all of these fields, but basically, like, created date is like when some object has been created, when it has been modified, and email is just an email of a user. And there are also more fields, but they are hidden. Like, for example, a password, a user's password, it will be hidden. It won't, even as a developer, you won't be able to see anyone's password. This is like just for privacy, for protection. Now let's go to the task, right? To the task data type. It automatically has 4 default fields that we don't have access to, which is a creator, and Bubble automatically saves a user that has created this task. Modified date, this is like a date when it has been modified. For example, if you create a task and then you modify it, you edit it, you change its title, for example, next day, that date will be saved in this field. And created date apparently will save a date when the object has been created. And Slack is like a more, it's not too complex, it's just it will be too hard for you to explain. Just, let's skip it for now. Don't worry about it. So let's create new fields now, because these fields are like, technical. They are created by Bubble itself. And now let's create a title field. And fields have captions, their names, and also they have their types. And they have several options for types. They have basic types, which is like basic types of data that you can save in a field. The first one is text and number, numeric range, date range, date interval, yes, no field, file, image, and geographic address. For this, for title, we're going to use text data field type, sorry. And we can also make it a list, so we have multiple entries within one field, but we don't want it in this case. Just create this, and then you see it has created this this new field for task. So task has title, right? And then we will probably want another field, and let's call it just done. We can even add a question mark. And let's choose a yes/no type, field type for this. So when a task is done, it will have done equal to yes, and when it's not done, it will equal to no. So by default we set to no, right? And here I've just created a basic data structure. It's not actual data, it's just like I'm organizing in a table, in a sheet, in a spreadsheet. So for now, let's demonstrate it to you so you understand how it works on this spreadsheet. So I will call this like this sheet as task, right? The same. And here I will have title, I will have done, And the rest of the fields, creator, modified date, created date, they will all, I won't need to create them because Bubble has already created them, so I won't add them here. So, and another, let's create another data type now. As you can see, we have projects, so we need to add a project data type as well. Let's create it. Project. By the way, you also, I encourage you to stop, to pause this video and just to do it yourself, just to repeat after me, so you can just practice along the way. Because if you don't practice, it will be like too much, too much theory and information, and you can be overwhelmed if you are doing this for the first time. Just pause and just repeat after me. You can even re-listen it to a few times. It's totally all right. So let's continue. Okay, so I've created a project, and as we can see here in the projects, this group, they have also titles. So let's create a title field, and it will be obviously also a text type. Okay, good. And now, projects will have several tasks. As we can see, we have several projects here, and projects have many tasks. So let's create tasks field. Tasks. And as you can see, we can choose for the field type, we can choose not only basic types, but we can choose other data types, which are in our case user, project and task. And we choose task, and we check this checkbox because this field is going to be a list of tasks, because each project will have many tasks, or it may have many tasks, but it obviously can have one task and it may have 0 tasks as well. That's okay, that's totally okay, but potentially it can have many tasks, right? So, all right. Now it already has these basic fields as a creator, modified, a created date. That's all right, we don't have to create them ourselves. So let's have a look. Do we have anything else here? Maybe like, we can also for a project, because as you can see, projects here, they are marked with gray circles and then with an orange circle. So I suggest that for projects that don't have any tasks, we will use a gray circle. For projects that have some tasks, but they are not all done, we will have an orange circle. But also for projects that have tasks and all of them are completed, we will have a green circle. So let's do this. We won't have other things like labels or filters or like this here, because it's a bit too complicated. We'll just have these very simple things. And let's do one more thing. Let's just in case, because we connected a project to tasks like this, we have created a field of tasks within a project, but let's create a field that will connect a task to a parent project, because we might need it, right? So let's create a project, and one task will have, each task will have just one project. A task cannot belong to several projects. It can belong to just one project. So we choose project, and we don't check this because it's going to be just one project. All right. Good. Very good. And then also for a project, let's also create this completed field. But we can, because we have this field, yes, no, but we can also use this field date. So we can also save the date when a project has been completed, right? And we can know if it's completed or no by the fact that if it has some data saved in this field. Because if it doesn't have anything saved, we will assume that a project is not completed. But if it has something in this field saved, then we'll assume that it's completed. and we'll also know the date when it's completed. So we will, it will be quite beneficial for us. So okay, this time we created a field with the date type. Actually, we can do that for task as well. So why don't we do it? Let's do it. Let's even save the time when a task has been done. We delete this and we just recreate done and choose date for the field type. Because in this case we will know both if it's done or not, and also we will know the date and exact time when it's been done. Okay, very good, very good. So I hope you understood more or less how the data structure looks, and now let's show it in this spreadsheet. So I have created this task spreadsheet, and I will create a project. So the project has title, it has tasks, lists, list of tasks, also it will have completed, date, title will be text type, I'll make it a little bit wider, and for the task done will be date type, and this will be text type, and also it will have project type will be project. So this is the basic data structure. So this is how basically your database looks like in representation, like in an easy way, so you can understand how it looks really. And the exact data object will be as rows here, will be represented as rows. For example, we will have a project project. For example, now we have a to-do app. This is a project, right? Let's make this bold. And then it will have several tasks. It will have several tasks. So first task is to create a database, and the project that it belongs will be to-do app. So next will be create a design for this, and it will be also the same project. So these two tasks will have the same project as their parent project. They will be linked to it. And let's create a new create workflows and the same project. Okay, and now here it will have a list of these, basically these things. You see, I've pasted them not as separate objects, but I pasted them within one. Sorry, there is a typo here, as well as here. So project each project will have separate tasks, or it may have several tasks, but they will all belong to one data object, to one project data object. And okay, completed will be like 18th of November 2023, for example. And tasks can have different dates also, like 10th of November. This one may have finished then, and this one is then. Or maybe this one hasn't been finished here. So, and I will erase this as well. So we have a project called to-do app, and we have several tasks, sorry, and two of them are completed because they have something saved in the done field, and one task is not completed because it has an empty field here with the done field. So we will assume that that project hasn't been done yet, hasn't been completed yet, because one task is still pending here. When it will be completed like this, then we will save, we will mark this project as done as well, and we will save the same date when the last project will be done. Okay, so this is how the database looks like. And here in this subtab, we will have only a structure. We will be able to work with the structure of the database. So basically with the titles of this database and creating the different sheets here. But the real objects in Bubble will be represented and shown here in the App Data tab. And as you can see, we have now 0 tasks, 0 projects, 0 users. We have none data, no data objects. And we can basically create them by clicking this button, New Entry. We can create a new project, but we can also create them in an app. When we run an app, a user can create objects. So, and also you as a developer can create new entries, like let's, for example, create a new project. Let's call it to-do app. I've created it. And as you can see, it's here. It has a title, but it doesn't have tasks. Let's create a few tasks. I'm just creating these data objects just for you to show how it looks like. In reality, you'll be seldom creating some data objects or editing them through backend, like through Bubble Editor. You'll be editing them, you'll be creating them through the app itself when you run the app, right? Because when the user logs into your app, they create new tasks, new project. This is how you basically create an object in the database. But let's now exercise a little bit. So let's create the same tasks. So we have create database, new entry, create database, and let's link it to that project. And now we click here to search for its title, for project's title and for task's title. And now when I try to type something, yeah, we can choose it and save it. And now, all right, I forgot about the title. Let's do it again. I'll just, I'll show you again. I click this edit icon and I save this title. All right. Now I save the title and I've linked it to that project. Let's create another task, new entry, title, and I will create it, link it to the same project. Create, it's linked. But now it's linked only from the tasks side. Let's link it from the project side as well, because when I click edit that project, the tasks field will be still empty. So I will need to add, and I will start typing their name, create. We have 2 tasks. I click add, create, design, click add, and only then I click save. And yes, you can see tasks. It has 2 tasks, a list of tasks. So this is how the database looks like. And also it has a privacy subtab, and the privacy subtab basically allows you to filter different data types by different constraints, and the filter works on the server side. Server is a computer that stores your data, your database. So privacy is a subtab where you create different rules for filtering data, and they can be filtering data, for example, like we want to show only projects, like let's say owner. We can create a filter that will allow a user to see only projects that have been created by the current user. So we say when this project's creator is current user, only then we'll be able to view all fields, we'll be able to find this thing in searches and attach files and etc, etc. And we uncheck other checkboxes here. So the project data type will be like quite secure because it will be filtered on the level of the server, and no one will be able to access data that they are not allowed to access. The same thing we can do with tasks and so on. But assuming that this video is a very basic one, we will not use this thing very much. I will just give you an idea of how it works basically. And I will for now just delete this. No rules. But this is a very important thing that we will cover. I will cover in my next videos, more advanced videos. And I'll just show you also a new subtab called option sets. Option sets is basically it looks like it's something very similar to data types, but the difference is that data types, they are stored in the database on the server, and the server is located somewhere, like in the US or in Europe. Different servers are located in different places. In most cases that will be an Amazon server located in the US. And when you create a query to pull some data from the database, it sends that query to the server, and then the server looks for that data and then it returns to this app. So it takes basically some time, some milliseconds, sometimes seconds, depending on how heavy your data is, how many objects you are loading, and how complex filters you have in your app, but it takes some time. Whereas option sets are very light data types. You can watch a tutorial here on this video, but the drawback of that is that a user of an app cannot edit them, cannot create them. Only you as a developer can create option sets. So for example, it suits very well for different statuses. Like if we were to use some statuses for our tasks, I would create a status option set, for example, and I will create different options like pending, in progress, and done, for example, for a task. But in our case, we will just use done or not done, like two states. So we don't need this option set. But option sets are basically very useful for such things, for storing like some very basic data that does not change in your app. So, and the user doesn't have to change it. It can be like months, it can be like days a week, something like very stable. Doesn't need to change. And also very important to note that all of these option sets, they are stored right in your browser. When you load your app, when you run your app, it loads in your browser, and it loads those option sets in your browser. So when you try to access any option sets, they will be accessed like immediately, no delay. Whereas with the database, when you load your app, the database, like the data stored here, like your project, your tasks, your users, they can be like millions of rows, millions of objects, right? And dozens and hundreds of data types. You can't load all of them in your browser on your computer because it can be just too much. And so you load data only when you need it. So the database is usually not loaded when you run your app. It's loaded only when you ask for it, when you make a query to your database. And option sets are loaded when you run it, so they are very accessible very quickly. Okay, that's it for now with these subtabs. We have also file manager, but file manager is basically like all files that you upload to this storage, to the Bubble storage. When you upload the file, you will find all of them in this subtab. Then we have styles tab. Styles is basically like very simple, just different styles to be used on different elements, like buttons, for example. As you can see, button have 3 styles. flat button, outline button, and primary button. And you can edit the style here, and you will be on the same styles tab. So, and you can edit that style, right? You can edit that style, and then if you edit it, if you have several buttons of the same style, they will change all at once. For example, if I change the color of this button to red, I come here and I see that both of them have been changed because both of them are using the same style primary button. I will change it back to the blue color. But you can also detach a style. As you can see, I'm on the go. I'm explaining a little bit about this properties editor in Bubble. So you can edit different properties. We already can edit the caption of the button. As you know, we can change the style, but we can also detach a style. If we detach it, we can change the appearance of any element, a button for example, separately. And if I change it here, you see this button has not been changed because now I detached that style from it. So I can change different things like the alignment, font, whatever I want to choose. So you can play with it. You can play with the background color, you can border styles, roundness, shadow, many things like the transition style. It's like when you hover it, it will transition the color change slowly, so it looks nicer. So many things. And layout is basically how it's laid out on your page within some group. This is like a more complex topic, but we will cover it later. And conditional is something that some conditional rules that will be applied on different actions, different events that happen that have to do with that particular element. For example, this button is hovered, this button isn't clickable, this button is pressed, and like many things. Like this, when this button is hovered, as you can see, the background color will change to this one. And now let's try to preview this app. If I click this preview, it runs it. You see, it changes the color because it has a conditional, and this also changes. And this input, when I hover over it, it changes the border color. Okay, so this is how the conditionals work here. And I can remove them, and I can add new conditionals, like this button is pressed, for example, and I can change the background color to something completely different, like a green. I hovered and I clicked, you see it's green. Okay, this is very simple basically. Now let me delete this all. So this is all about styles, and plugins is basically something like a new functionality that you don't have in Bubble. So you want to build something that you don't have, you want a new element, so you can play around, you can search this, you can click add plugins, and you just review it, everything. It has like hundreds, thousands of plugins, very useful. And settings is the app settings, when you can change the settings, change the plan. In the general, you can add some password, you can change this icon colors, some basic colors. You can add a domain, your custom domain, but for that you will need to upgrade this to a paid plan. Languages, SEO, meta tags. So if you are building a website, but rather more complex website, of course, if you build it on Bubble, because Bubble is basically not for websites, but it's for web applications. Websites is a very basic, it's basically the same thing, but website, when I say a website, is a static thing, more a static thing. It's simple, just has a nice design, some text, some animations, some images, etc. Whereas an app, it can have like different functionalities, such as You can log into it. You can do some, something very useful, like you can post like on Instagram. You can create tasks and so on, like many things. And it has an API tab also. API tab is for connecting your app with other apps or use external services as well. This is a more advanced topic. We'll not cover it in this video. Collaboration is like when you collaborate with other developers. You can have sub apps also, and versions. We will not cover it. This is a little bit more advanced. It's not too complicated. It's just we don't need it right now, so we'll not cover it. Let's now let's talk about the last thing, logs. Logs is basically like all the stats you can see about your app. The logs, like what's been happening with your app, what kind of activities have been happening. Scheduler is when you schedule some tasks that need to be executed in 1 week, in 1 day, and you can see all of them scheduled here. Also an advanced topic. We'll not cover it here. We'll now just try to do this basic to-do app. All right. So let's update it. And now in the preview we don't have anything. Basically, we don't have anything because I've deleted all the buttons. Now let's start building something, right? In the data types, I have already created several data types. It's probably that's all we need, but maybe I will add something more on the way we go as we develop. But for now, I think that could be sufficient. And we already have some data objects. So now let's try to do some basic functionality. So we will need to add groups. So basically a group is a very like a basic element in app building. A group is a container that can contain other objects, other elements, or other groups. And let's create this group. Let's name it, let's call it main group. And let's change its layout. Let's change it to row. Row will be so that it will the elements inside will go from left to right. And we will uncheck this checkbox so that it will be as wide as our screen. And we will make minimum height a little bit higher, like let's say 600 pixels. That's enough for now. And within that group, let's create two groups. One will be for projects here, and one will be for tasks. Now we can update, but we won't see anything because our group is invisible. Our group is invisible. Okay, let's create new group. Place it here. And we call it projects. So as you have noticed, I can rename my elements, my groups, right here in this properties editor. Okay, and now I will copy it and paste. So I have two groups inside the main group, and I can see all of them in my elements tree here. I have page index, which is like the very highest element on the parent element, and for the parent element we can also change some properties like title. We can change to do app, and we can select other elements like main, projects, and this group will call tasks. And now let's change the layout of them. So the layout of this, we'll call it column, and instead of make this fixed width, we'll make it, we'll uncheck this and make it because this group is a little bit smaller. It's less wide, it's more narrow than this one. So we will need to adjust the width of that group a little bit. So also make it column, and let's uncheck this, and let's use a maximum width of 300 probably, and the minimum 200. And this will be like as wide as the screen. And for the main, we will also use 1000 pixels, the widest it can go. And minimum height. I used this vertical alignment, so it's like stretched vertically. And for these groups, I will also use this alignment, so they're stretched vertically. And in our design, I see that this group is a little bit, gray, very light gray. So let's detach this style, the standard group style, detach it, and just, change some of the settings here. I choose flat color, and it's by default white. And I will just move this a little bit down, so it's gray. And you can see it's gray, right? And if I update my app here, I can see that it's shown with gray. I think that's enough, right? Okay, good. So we'll make this. So we can make this centered alignment. Okay, it's now centered, basically. Let's make minimum height 1000 pixels. Okay, it's 1000 pixels. Main, also make it 1000. Okay, now that's enough. That's enough. We have our basic structure, and now let's put another element that is called a repeating group. So this one was group, and now we will have a repeating group. We'll put it here, and we'll call repeating group projects. So a repeating group is a very important element in Bubble. And just in general in web development, because a repeating group is an element that can show many objects of the same type. For example, posts, and you will need to just set up how it should show you those objects like posts or tasks or projects, and then it will show you all of them. So you can set up any filters, you can set up how it should look, and etc, etc. And now we're gonna do this, but first of all, let's add like a little bit of design. Let's add this text and call it projects, and place it above that repeating group. And we'll also within that group we will add a little bit of padding here. We can do it here on the layout tab. Let's make it 20 pixels each side, so it looks nice. Also, let's add some gap between elements, and for that we click this thing, and then let's add a gap of 20. And now let's delete minimum height for this text element, because it will fit its height of the content, because this one is checked. And let's uncheck this one as well, so it's as wide as the group. And now let's change this for projects, and in the layout I will move it to the first, and I want to use a different style. I will use this one, heading 5 projects. Nice. Okay, now let's work with the repeating group. Very important element, very important topic, and I will try my best to explain it as easy as I can. So here it has several settings. First one is set fixed number of rows, but we don't want fixed number of rows. We want them to show as many projects as we have, basically. That's what I want, at least now. So I uncheck this, and now it suggests that I set up the minimum height of each row, and I will set it as 50 pixels, for example, because if I can see in the design, this is enough. 50 pixels should be enough. And here in the layout, I can set a maximum. Let's set maximum as a, say, 700 pixels, and minimum, we don't have any minimum. Let's set it to 50. Okay, enough. And uncheck this fixed width. We don't need that, so it will be as wide as this group. And the container layout. So repeating group has also a layout type inside, and we have it fixed. So let's change it to row, for example. And inside, let's find this repeating group in the elements tree. For that, we can either find it here like this, or we can right click it and click this reveal in elements tree. Voila, I can see it highlights that element here. And so very important now is to set a right type of content for repeating group. So this drop down sets the type of content for a repeating group, and the type of content is basically we're telling a repeating group what kind of things we are going to put inside of it. I mean, we're not telling them like what exact objects we're going to put in them, but we're telling the bubble what type of content we're going to use inside of the repeating group. And we say projects, of course. And the next field here is called data source, and here we'll tell it exactly what objects we're going to put inside of this repeating group. And for that, we will do a search on the database. We click this button, and then we use this function called do a search for. Do a search for, which is a function that searches for objects in your database. As you remember, we have several objects in our database. So let's, and here it suggests that we choose a type. One more time. I say yes, projects, we want projects. And now I can set up some constraints for our search. And let's assume that we want to search only for projects that have been created only by me. And for that, I click this button, I click this, and I say created by equals, and here I choose a function called current user. Current user is basically a user that is logged in now, and the user that is viewing now the app, that is running the app. So for them it will do a search, but it will search filtering them by the current user. It will see if this field equals this value, basically. The value is current user. So it will show us only the current user's projects. Okay, and we will also sort them by let's sort them by title and alphabetically in an alphabetical order, and it will be descending so from A, B, C, and so on. Very good. So we've set up, we've told Bubble what kind of objects I need to search for. Here I told them what type of things I'm going to search for, and here exactly what kind of objects I need to show. I hope that was more or less clear, but it will be more clear when you try to do it yourself, when you do more apps, when you dive into this. Okay, and I encourage you to pause and to repeat it after me, just to pause and do it yourself to practice. Okay, and I will move on now. So now, sorry, let's update this. So now we can see that we have projects, the text this is showing, but it's not showing anything in my repeating group. One reason for that is that in the repeating group it loads data, but we haven't used any text, for example, any element that will show us what of those data objects what we need to show to the actual user. So I've added a text inside the repeating group, inside a cell, and I will uncheck this, I'll use a also, you know what, I will place this text element inside another group, and for that I will right click and group it in a row container. So as you may have seen, it's created a new group within a repeating group cell. It's called it project. It's named it as project, and inside that there is a text element. And this group that's fine. It's fine how it's showing to me. Okay, I've put 0 here, and let's now, because I've already set up the data content type, data source for the repeating group, so it searches for something. And now for this group, as you can see, groups can have also type of content. So Bubble automatically set it up for project because I've created it inside of the repeating group, so it's automatically done that job for me. So, and for the data source it says current cells project, because repeating group will have many, as here, the repeating group will have many cells like this, depending on how many objects I have. And this group will link to current cell, to each cell. And in each cell it will show a different object. And let's link this text to parent group's project title. So in this text it will show the title of each project. I've updated, but it's not showing anything. The reason for that is because the objects that I have, this to-do app, I created them as an app admin. You see, app admin. It's not by the user that is viewing this app, because it doesn't know this user yet. So for the educational purposes, let me remove this constraint, and after that it's gonna show me. You see, to do app. Okay, it's showing me this app, and I want to get rid of this border in the repeating group. Let me do this also, because in the design it doesn't have any borders. Also, it doesn't have any separators. Repeating group has a property called separator. It's a line that separates each cell. So I will set it to none, sorry. And also I will erase. I will set the border also to none. It will not have any borders now. See, okay, no borders. And let's set the minimum height to, I click, so I hold shift, and with the arrows on my keyboard I change it like this. Let's say 35, and minimum height also, let's say 30. Okay, so the minimum height will be 30. Let's just create another project in our database so we can see both of them. Okay, let's call it Instagram. So the next project will be Instagram, creating Instagram. And as you can see, the repeating group is showing us both of them, all the objects that we have in our database. And okay, very good. Let's add a more gap between them. So I will just make this repeating group height a little bit, minimum height a little bit higher, 40. Good. And then let's also make this gap between elements here 30, so it looks nicer. And also I want to change the project's title. I will detach this style and I will just make it bold. Good. So we have 2 projects. Okay, that's good. And so now we have a repeating group where it shows all the projects, and let's add some functionality to add new projects. For that, let's add a new, like a button here, or an icon, like a small icon. Let's use this icon element, place it here. I will look for an icon that says plus, like this, and I will set the color to black, basically black, and I will hold Shift on my keyboard and I will select both of these 2 objects and I will group them together. I'll click here, arrange, group elements in a row container, so they stay together. See, now they're grouped. So this is just for design purposes. And now let's add functionality of when I click this plus button, a small pop-up pops up, and then we will be able to add a new project. And for that, let's create a pop-up. Pop-up is an element, you can find it here, which basically a small window that can open and we can close it. And let's change the layout of this pop-up for column. Let's add some padding, 20 on each side, and let's add a couple of elements. Text or heading 6. Add new project. Layout, I uncheck this. This I set to, I just erase this. Good. Also in the pop-up, I will use a gap between elements, 20, enough. And I will add an input now here, just below it. For it, I will set also a minimum height of 35, uncheck this, erase this, so it's all aligned within that pop-up all nicely. Also, actually, I will make this 40. Let's call it project name, input project name, type project name here. This is just a placeholder, so a user understands what it's expecting of them. And let's limit by 100. And let's make it not. Let's check this, which basically will make it because you will understand why I'm checking this. And this input should not be empty because we will not be able to add projects with empty names. And when I place a button here, I will uncheck this. Also, I'll make it 45. That's fine. I'll change the caption to add, and by the click of this button I will create a workflow that will add a new object to our database. But if it's asking, like when I click add workflow here, it suggests that I add a workflow. I click here, data, create a new thing. New thing is basically a new object in a data type. I choose project, and then I set a field here, field title, because I want to save a title. And here I link it to that input I just named, input project name, to its value. All right. And then next thing I want to do after creating a project, I want to hide that pop-up. So I click element actions, hide, I find that pop-up here. Actually, I need to name it properly. So I click pop-up, name it to new project. New project. Good. Okay, so I had that. I hide that pop-up, and I will also need to show a small alert. So I add an alert to my app like this. 40. I'll uncheck this thing, and in the appearance tab I check this position at the top, so it will show this alert every time, you know, we want to tell something to the user, like for example a new project has been created. So let's, after hiding this pop-up, so first we create, then hide that pop-up, and then third we show that alert. Element actions, alert show message, and then check this, and then we say new project has been created. Good. And now the last thing we need to do, so let's hide this alert so it's not in our way. Where is it? Okay, let's hide it. Now we want to show that pop-up whenever we click that plus button. Plus button, actions, element actions, show pop-up new project. Good. Now let's update our app and see. You see, this icon is now clickable. My cursor is changing when I hover over it. Click it, see this pop-up appeared, and I can create a new app. Call it Facebook. Add. Good. So it's been created, you see, Facebook, and it's all sorted alphabetically. We saw the alert as well. All good. We can create a new project, but the problem is that I clicked this thing, and I still have this Facebook thing. You know, it hasn't cleared that input, so we need to clear that input. So when we click add button, we need to also use another element. Another action called reset inputs. Let's try it again. So test, right? I added it, it's been created, and now if I click again, it should not show me that the same name in my input. You see, it's clear. Good. Also, we can add like a cancel button, so it's user friendly to that pop-up. So add that pop-up. I can basically copy that button with my Command C, Command V. I forgot which one was the add. Okay, this one is add, and this one will be cancel. And I will use a different style for that. And now I want them to be on one line horizontally. So I click, I hold Shift on my keyboard, I select both of them, and I arrange them in a row container. So, and also I want to, erase the minimum width for those buttons, like this. And then I also, like you see, I want to select the parent group. For that, I can right-click any element, and I click select first parent, like this. So it's created this group F. We can call it buttons. And I want to add a little bit of a gap between them. Call them like maybe 15 pixels, like this. See? Good. It's 45. So yeah, the style is different. Okay, let's detach it. Let's erase the padding, so they are all, they look similar. And now let's swap the places, like this. Okay, good. And by clicking cancel, it basically should do it should reset inputs, and it should also hide the same pop-up. Good. Let's test it. Click here. So add is a little bit wider, but that's all right. That's good. And if I click cancel, it closes that pop-up. Good. And now we need to work with the tasks, right? We need to work with the tasks. But first of all, as we can see in the design tab, there is an ability to select, to choose a project. So if we click a project, it will be like a grid, you know, with a gray background, with circle rounds. I mean rounded edges, and then it will show only those tasks that belong to that project. So let's create that functionality. We already have. Let's find this repeating group. Within that we have this project. That project and repeating group. So we can. I probably will change it to column. The layout of the repeating group cells. And now I will select this group inside the repeating group, and I will uncheck this thing. You see, and it's now it now occupies all the space within that repeating group. And I will also want to set some paddings for this group. Padding like 10 pixels. Like this. Okay, good. And in the appearance tab, I want to set a little bit of a roundness, like round. Okay, good. And now I want the ability to select projects. So for that, I'm going to use some variables. So variables is basically something. Variables are like cells in your RAM, in your virtual memory, in your browser memory, that can be stored temporarily for different purposes. Like in this purpose, we want to store when for the time when we are running our app, we want to store which tab we are looking at, like which project has been selected now. So we need to store that, right? And for that, I'm going to use some group, because as you can see, groups can contain some data within them. But my good practice is that for different variables, I create a pop-up, a separate pop-up like this, and I call it hidden variables. Hidden variables. And I put all my variables into that group. First of all, I will change the layout to probably to row, padding like this, space 10. Okay, now I can add a group inside, and I will call a group, I will delete that, var, or short for variable. I will call it project. So why am I doing this? Because, you know, we can, in our app, we can have many variables that we are using for some different purposes. In this case, we want to store the project that is active right now. And whatever project is active, that cell in the repeating group should highlight with gray like this, and it will also show that project's tasks. So this is our purpose for using a variable. Variable is a place in your virtual memory, in your temporal memory, where we can store temporarily some data, like a number, a text, or an image, or even a project, like a project, the whole data object. So now let's set the type of content project here. And the source, the data source for that will be empty for now. But we will change it dynamically when we click some project. So when let's find it. So this group, we can see that group, and when we click that group, add a workflow. And in this workflow, I want to display the the project that is contained within that cell of that repeating group, I want to display it to that variable. I find that variable, you can see it here, and I want to display current cells project, and like this I can display it. So whenever I click, you see now they are clickable, the project, because my cursor is different. So whenever I clicked, a different project is displayed to that variable, but it's all invisible, because I mean it's all happening in the memory, but it is invisible to the user. So let's make it visible. So let's set a conditional for the project here in the conditionals, and let's say that when variable project is current cells project, then we want background color, background style. Basically, first of all, we change it to flat color, and second, background color, we change it to slightly gray, like so. Now let's see what happens. You see? Okay, so we have a very basic functionality. It works. It selects projects and it's highlighting. It's showing us that it's actually selecting projects. It's displaying it to that variable. And now next thing that we want to do is we want to show tasks for that project. Let's review the design here. Okay, we have margins, like 40 pixels margins. We have a project name at the top, and basically that's it. That's enough for our very basic educational project. So for this group called tasks, first of all, let's move this alert out of this thing. Oh, we can't do it. Okay, it doesn't matter, because yeah, we did. I mean, I uncheck this and I will move it, because I want it to be on the main, or even here. Good. And I will just hide it, and then I place it at the top. Good. So now my group tasks is, I will close this. My group tasks is basically clean and clear. It doesn't have anything. I will go to the layout tab. I will set some padding. As I said, it's going to be 40 pixels on each side. And first thing I want to place, I will copy this text, copy, paste, and here I will just have a project's name with a larger font. I'm going to use heading 4 like this. And this group I'm going to use as a variable itself. I will place a project into this group. But and the source, the data source will be var project. Okay, and then this title will take parent group's project's title, and each time we select our project, it will show us the name of that project. See? Okay, good. So first of all I placed this, put this text element into this group. I set the type of content of this group to project, and then data source to the same variable that I hid here in the hidden variables pop-up. Okay. Why did I do it? Did I place it within a pop-up? Because pop-ups are basically, they are hidden by default, so there is no chance your user will somehow find it. So it just basically easier for us to see. And when we have many variables in our project, all of them will be here, and it will be easier for me to debug, to find all variables and so on, because some people they're using variables, many people are using variables, but they're placing it all over the app, and it's like impossible to find where is what variable. So it's kind of messy, and this puts more order into your app. And now, okay, let's move forward. Now we want to show tasks. So we will want another pop-up for creating tasks, but let's use first of all, let's add this gap thing, and let's I'm suggesting that we copy this repeating group that we've created for projects, just copy it and paste it here, and we will reuse it, redesign it now for other things. So repeating group, we'll call it now tasks, right? Tasks, and type of content will change to task, and then instead of searching for projects, we'll clear this expression and we will say parent groups projects tasks. So we want to show all tasks that belong to this project, and this group inside that repeating group, let me show it to you in the elements tree. I'll close this. Okay, here it is. I will need to change the type of content also to task. Okay, now it's not showing me an error, but it's showing me one issue. Let's see. Remember to fill out when we should show this conditional. Okay, so it has a conditional. We don't need this conditional now. Just removed it because it's been left there from the projects. Okay, so now we don't have any issues. And it's automatically changed this text link to parent groups tasks title. Okay, so Bubble is quite smart. Good. And okay, basically we need to show, we will be showing all the tasks that belong to this particular project. And as you can see in the design, it's showing the separators here. So let's show the separators. Let's click repeating group, and separators style, let's set it solid and make it just gray, like this, light gray. Okay, good. But at the moment we don't have any tasks, so let's copy this icon. Let's paste it again here. Let's put it, make first, next, and then combine it with this. Select both of them, holding shift, pressing shift on your keyboard, and then arrange them in a row container like this, and just make it bigger. It's too big. Even smaller. Good. Okay, that's enough. That's enough. That's enough. And now, by the click of this icon, we want to show just some pop-up to fill in some data. So we'll probably reuse the same pop-up we are using for adding new projects. Is we just right click, copy. We'll put this out and then just click edit, paste, and we can see a new pop-up, new project, copy. We change the name to new task. Okay, good. We'll rename this caption to a new task, and then type task name here. The rest is the same, and then okay, we will keep the other elements and the styling the same. And now, by the click of the cancel button, we want to reset inputs and then hide. Basically hide that pop-up. Hide pop-up new task. And I will copy this because I will reuse this action. Then I click add a workflow. So I will, first of all, I will create a new thing. It's going to be a task. And I will set basically two fields. First is title and then project. So the title will be, let me rename this input also, because it has project name. Now I'll call it task name, so we're not confused. Title task, input task title's name, and then project will just take it from the var variable project, because it's stored there, right? Very good. So that's it. We create a new task. But then next thing we want to do, we want to add this task to the project list of tasks. So for that we click next action, data, and then make changes to a thing. And what change we want to make changes to is the variable projects project. And then what we want to do is to add that task that we have created in the first step, result of first step. Voila, that's it. And then we want to hide. I've copied, if you remember that action. And then the next thing, I want to show that alert as well. I will copy it. I will add it here. New, and I will say new task has been created. Very good. So now let's see. We don't have any tasks. Oh, okay. Also, I need to put a workflow here to show the pop-up. Show pop-up new task. Also, where is that? When I'm adding a new task, I want to reset inputs, right? Reset inputs, good. I want to reset inputs. Now let's see. Let's also we want to hide this thing when no project is selected, right? Also, that will be very useful. And let's hide the whole group. So this group, we will make it invisible. You see, if I uncheck this icon, this checkbox, it will be invisible by default. See? And when I click, it's still not visible. Okay, we want to hide. Basically, we want to hide. Okay, let's do this instead. I will show this, but I will hide the whole tasks thing. I will uncheck this thing, and like I won't show the tasks group before a project has been created. But now you see it's still not showing anything. Now I want to add a conditional. So I want to show this group only when var variable projects project is not empty, and then show this element. Okay. So if I'm doing this too fast, just make it, rewind it and rewatch it again, watch it in a slower speed, whatever you want to do, just in your comfortable pace, right? Okay, so it's showing us only when we have a project, and it's basically showing us the those two tasks that belong to that project. Very nice. And now let's try to add a new task. Build app. You see, it's created a new task. Very nice. And now we want to add probably a new functionality, right? So first of all, we want to be able to delete those projects. So here, inside that project, let's add an icon. So I will just collapse it, open this here. Inside this group, I will paste that icon. I will make it smaller, much smaller. Make it 20 to 20 pixels. Or maybe it's too small. Okay, too much. And just some trash icon. Let's actually make it smaller. 22, 22, good. Centered, centered. And then by clicking to this icon, let's first of all see how it looks in reality. Okay, I think it's nice enough. And we want to on hover, we want to highlight that we are hovering this trash icon. So when this icon is hovered, because we want to show the user that something will happen now. the icon color will change to like blue. Okay, you see the color is changing. And now let's add an action by the click of that button. And what action we want to do is just delete that project. Data, delete thing, parent groups project. That's it. Basically, this is like not the best thing to do, because, like, for example, if I click test, it just deletes my object in the database. And what if I click it accidentally and all my project and my tasks will be deleted right away? I don't want that to happen. So I want to build I need to build a pop-up that will ask me, like, am I sure that I want to delete that project or task, whatever. But this is what you can do just yourself, right? I'm not going to do it now, because I'm not going to just lose spend too much time on that. This will be your homework and you can do it yourself. Okay, I'm not going to delete other projects. You've seen that it works, it functions. But also imagine that a project had several tasks. We want to delete them too, because otherwise they will be still in the database, just useless. They will just occupy some database space. So the first action before deleting a project would be deleting a list of things, and the type of the things will be tasks, and it will be parent groups projects tasks. So firstly we delete the tasks and then project. This is the correct way to do, and that just show an alert as well, like, okay, your okay, good. Now let's make also that it would be good if we added functionality to allow our users to edit our project's titles, for example, right? Not only to delete, but that's gonna be also your homework. Now I'm gonna do that only for tasks, so we're able to delete or edit our tasks. So I'm gonna copy this icon, place it here. This will be a trash. Good. I will add the same functionality that will delete that task, parent groups task. Let's try it. Let's choose this project. We have this task. If I click this, it will be deleted from my database. You see, like this. I will add it again. Good. So it's working. And now the next thing we want to do is add an ability to edit that task. So I will paste another icon of the same type, and then in this icon I will show you shortly. Now first of all, let's change its edit, probably maybe pencil, I don't know. Yeah, okay, like this. I will place it here on the first place before the delete icon. And so basically what I want to do is after clicking this icon, it should display this task into this pop-up, new task pop-up. So I need to, for that to be able to do, I need to set the type of content for this pop-up, and that's going to be task, and the data source by default will be empty. So I'm going to do that dynamically. Let's see. And also let's add, you see this, there is a group that that contains these two buttons. So let's also set a data type for that too, so the buttons also can access the same task. And for that we will set the data source to parent groups task. The parent group will be this pop-up, by default empty, but whatever we put into this pop-up, we will access from this group, that object too. Okay. And now let's do this also. For this input, let's show initial content to parent groups tasks title, right? Title. And when we display some object into this pop-up, this input will show that title, and we'll be able not just to add a new title, but also to edit an old title. Good. And also what we need to do is to change some of the captions here. For example, if when this pop-up is empty, right? When it's empty, we want to show add caption. But when it's not empty, when we are editing something, a task, we want to show a caption saying save changes, for example. So for that, let's use a dynamic function. So I'll tell him. So let's see if parent group's tasks is empty, and then I'll use formatted as text. So for yes is empty, I'll use add. For not empty, I'll use save changes. Okay, so it's going to be dynamic now. And the same, I will copy this expression. This is an expression I will use for this caption too. I will copy it basically but then I will paste that same dynamic function. If parent group's task is empty, if it's empty, show add new task, and then edit task. If it's not empty, edit task. Good. Now the only thing we need to do is just set some actions on the click of this icon. So first of all, what I want to do is reset any data that has been in that pop-up, new task. I need to reset it. So delete all the old tasks that have been there, just reset it. Next action will be to display to the same pop-up. What we want to display is parent group's task from the repeating group, And then third action is just show an element, just bubble suggested itself. Show pop-up new task. Let's see how it works. So I will choose this project. We have a project build app task. I click this. You see, it's all, the captions change automatically. Also, I can see the name of that task if I click this. But I haven't changed the workflows for this, for this button, because if I click Save Changes, it will add a new task, which is not what I wanted, basically. So let's correct it. Let's fix it. Let's open this pop-up. And also I noticed that here, Save Changes is too long. I'll just keep save for that, okay? Good. And now let's see the workflows that happen after I click this button. You see, when this button is clicked, it creates new task, it does this, blah, blah, blah. Okay, good. But this is what we want only when that pop-up is empty. So I will set a condition on this event only when parent group's task is empty, basically. And then I want to, let's add a color here. So I add a green color for adding a new object. Let's copy this event, paste it like this. So it's pasted. Now let's change its color to blue. And then now let's change the condition here to is not empty. So this is what's going to happen when it's not empty. And we don't want to create a new task. We don't want to add it to that project because it's already in that project. That's unnecessary. So I want to delete that. The rest I will keep, but I will change the alert to your change has been saved, right? And then here I will right click, insert an action, and I will, instead of creating a new thing, I will make changes to a thing. and to parent groups task obviously, and here I will change its title, and I want to save whatever is in the input task name and its value. Good. Let's now see if it works or not. To do app, and let's edit this task, build app. Let's change this to build app 2. See, okay, all good, all working. And now if I delete it, also it's deleted. Remember that you will need to, your homework will be to add a pop-up that will ask you, are you sure you want to delete a project? Are you sure you want to delete a task? And so on. This will be your homework. So the last thing that we want to do is just, the ability, the functionality of checking tasks. Whenever they are ready, we want to check that it's done. Let's also add, let's see this, let's find this group here. We have 3 elements within that group, inside 2 icons in 1 text. And we want to add a new icon there. Let's copy this icon. I've placed it. I will center it, and I will make it first here. Also, I will center all of the other elements here. Okay, good. So also let's add a small gap. 5 pixels. So by default, and we can make it smaller, right? A little bit smaller. By default, we want to show some circle, like this circle, when it's not done. But in the conditional tab, I want to say it when the parent group's task is done. Remember, we are saving a date there, and we say is not empty when a date is saved there. We want to show a different icon, but also icon color. Let's, use green, but darker green. And also let's change the icon itself to this one, check, because it's done. So, and let's add an event when we click this group task. Let's change parent group's thing, this task, basically current sales task, and we basically save some data to the field called done. And we save, because Bubble by default has this function called current date time, which basically equals to the current date time from it, takes it from your computer, from your browser. Yeah, we're just saving it. Good. Let's now test it. Okay, so they are not done yet. If I click this, see, it's done. It's checked. But if I want to uncheck, I can't uncheck. What if I want to uncheck? Let's add that functionality too. So let's add a condition to this event when current sales task done is empty, and then I will copy it, paste it, and then the next one, this event will be done when it's not empty, and in that case it will just clear that field, and basically it means unchecking a task. So if I go to this project, I have 3 checked tasks, and see, I can uncheck them. I can check them back, and I can uncheck them. Beautiful, very good. And this functionality of adding new tasks is still working. Add new task. Okay, good. So your homework will be to add a small text here, which will show the number of projects inside, as in this design. You see, it's showing the number of projects within that project. Also remember, we talked about this circle. So we need to highlight it with different colors depending on the status of that project. When it doesn't have any task, when it has tasks but they are not all done, and a different color for the status when it has tasks but also they are all done. And for that I suggest that you use an element called shape. This element, let me just add it quickly. I've added it inside this group. I will change the its width and height to 20 pixels, even less maybe. And then in the appearance tab I will need to set the roundness to 360 to the maximum, which makes it basically a circle. And then in this conditional you can use different conditionals, you can check whether something is happening or not, like whether something is true or not, whether all of the tasks have been done or not, whether it has any tasks or not. So you can change its color. You see, you can regulate, you can change its color here. You can like make it green like this, you can make it red, whatever. Yeah, so I'm not going to do it for you, you will do it yourself as your homework. And you can ask me any questions along the way. I hope this was all helpful, and enjoy your development, and I wish you success in your development journey. Yes, see you soon. Thank you very much.